Good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's session. Uh, this is the last day of our Devfest series. Our speaker today is John Ajegbe, a software engineer at Art School Africa. John is a software engineer in full stack development, focusing on React Native, Node.js, Golang, TypeScript, and the TypeScript ecosystem, serving as a valuable engineer at Art School Africa. And also contributing as a dedicated front-end engineer, instructor, and beyond, like at Beyond Theory. With a passion for both software development and education, John has made significant contributions to the tech industry and the growth of aspiring engineers. Welcome, John, and take it from here.
Hi, good evening. Thanks for having me here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, so let's just share my screen. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can.
All right. So once again, good evening. My name is John, and I'm here to run a workshop on the topic building Africa Storyteller Hub with Next.js and Gemini AI. As you all know that we are in the era of AI, and one of the theme for this year Devfest is responsible AI. So we are going to be building a mini web app. The time will fail us to write this code from the scratch, but I will try as much as I can to do justice to that, by providing the explanation to the already written codes. So join me, and as we build this up. Again, I'm John Ajaybi. I'm a software engineer at School Africa. I'm a front-end engineering instructor at Beyond Theory. Okay, so the goal for this workshop is to build an interactive AI storyteller web application, and also to utilize JavaScript text-to-speech API, then to gain hands-on experience with Next.js 14 to be precise, then TypeScript and the almighty Gemini AI, and lastly, to learn strategies for integrating AI in a web application, because you can literally integrate AI into your web application or your side project. It's pretty much easy like that. Google has made everything easy by providing an SDK for us to integrate our AI in whatever we are building, be it mobile, web, or desktop. So the prerequisites for this workshop are basic knowledge of JavaScript and TypeScript, then React and Next.js, and the tools we're using are Node.js, minimum version of 16, and then Node Package Manager (npm), a minimum version of 10, and then code editor. I will be using VS Code, obviously, and then a free Gemini API key. So the tech stack overview for this app: Next.js, Tailwind CSS, Radix UI, native fetch API, and then a free Gemini API key. I've provided how to get the API key in the speaker note, and I will also be demonstrating that. Then to set up, I have provided the GitHub repository link in this speaker note for the app. You clone it, then install the dependencies, then create environment file at the root directory, and then add this value. Then you can run the app. Of course, we'll be doing the practical aspect as well. Yeah, shall we begin? these are the helpful links I've provided. These slides will also be shared after the session, and yeah, there will be time for question and answer as well. And yeah, let's begin. So uh, here's the GitHub repository, and I will start by cloning the application. Yeah, let me zoom my terminal. Okay, I don't know if this is visible enough. So git clone, yeah, storyteller, and then navigate to the folder, open it in text editor. Yo. Okay, bring it here. And here, so we have the code base here, and the first thing is to install the dependencies. Of course, these are the dependencies. We have the almighty Gemini SDK, which is this, then the Radix UI React slot, and also the React tooltip. This class variants, Tailwind CSS are for the pre-written CSS codes, of course, from Tailwind. And then we have Lucid React for icons, and then Tailwind Merge to merge the class names coming from the Tailwind. Yeah. So let me just install the dependencies by running npm install. Yeah. So we have the node modules folder here, and then let's create our environment variables. Of course, there's this example here. I have my own free Gemini API key already, so let's just create the environment variables, and then let me just copy the key here. Of course, it's important that you know we had all our environment variables, must have this prefix, which is next public, underscore public. This we tell Next.js to, make these environment variables available to our application, in production. And then to create the Gemini free API key, you come here. Of course, these URLs are already on the slides, of course, for future reference. And then just click on get API key, click on create API key. I have mine here already. I'm just going to copy, yeah, and then paste here. So let me run the app now. Then npm run dev. So before, just ignore all this. These ones are coming from Node, whatever. So before I open the app, let me quickly run through the folder structure. This is Next.js app directory. Of course, the source folder is the source folder here carries all the folders for other directories. And then inside the source folder, we have app directory, as you may have had before, or you might have had before. And inside this app, whatever that goes in there, as you can see, is a special directory. Any file you add to this directory becomes a route. For instance, the page here serves as our index.html, is our index page actually. If you wish to create more routes, you can just, create another folder. You can call it contact us, right? And then inside this folder, just create a file, call it page.tsx. So it's important that to every directory you create, there must be a page.tsx inside each of them, as this is what tells Next.js that okay, the React component, whatever will go in there. And of course, our contact us is our route. For instance, if the base URL is storyteller.com, then this route will be storyteller.com/contact us. This is just for demonstration, and let me delete it. And this API directory is for our it contains API routes, I mean the server side, because we're going to be using Fetch API to communicate from the client to the server. So this is our server side. This is the API to submit the user input. The form submission is a post request, by the way. And then this font, of course, is for fonts. And then we have components where all our React components for UIs and all stuff. Here we have for UI we have alert components, we have button, we have card, we have index. This is a barrier file where we import all where we export all our UI components. This helps to keep our code base clean, without having to have multiple lines of imports. Right? I may share a link that talks more about this verify. Of course, it has its own advantage, and you know when to use it, you know when to avoid it. In fact, there is like this controversy around this so-called verify. Yeah, we're going to, if time permits us, we're going to talk about that later. And then we have input component, and then story display component, then story generator component. Anything component goes in here. And then this utils folder is for helper function and all sorts. Right? And of course, env.example, when we clone this repository, it was there by default. It tells us that okay, we have to create a new environment variable. In your own case, you may use env.env.local.env.staging.env. Production, sorry, .env.testing, test.env. In your own case, everything is right there on the Next.js documentation. So this env example tells us by default that okay, you have to create an env file, and this key must be there, right? And that was why we had to create env file, and then this is the Gemini API key. And in case you are just joining us, here is where you get to generate a free API key, Gemini API key. The link is on the slides, and then it is very important. Without this, our app will not function effectively, such that whenever we try to generate a story, we just be getting an error. Yeah. Okay. What else? Yeah. Uh, I'm using biome.js for code linting and formatting. Right, it's super amazing and very faster. It's faster than ESLint, and yeah. So it's proving. And if you wish to learn more, just Google bio.js, I think .dev. Yeah, yeah. So if you wish to learn more about biome.js, just come here. Their documentation is pretty straightforward. Yeah. So and when I run so this is like the script for code linting and formatting. It helps you to display warnings. It's just to enforce coding standard. Of course, now code linting and formatting. So in this case, if I run npm run links, so we bam.js helps us to, and as you can see here, tells us that, oh, you're not supposed to use index as key, which is true, right? Oh, yeah. And what should we use here? Of course, we should be definitely using ID. This helps. This is one of the React performance tips. In fact, some companies ask this during interview. This is super important. I mean, I don't know why I skipped that. So let me just go straight to that. Which file? Story display component, story display, line what? Line 89. Line 89. You, yeah, yeah. So what should we use? We should definitely use, since we don't have ideas, so let's just change this to this line itself, or we can concatenate it using template literals. This is a line, and then say line, and then index itself. Let's see. Let's see if npm run links, because it doesn't just want to see anything index, and it's true because using index, React will not be able to track which item is being removed or changed in the list. So let's just get rid of this index totally and use uh, line. Okay, using index here. Yeah. npm run lint. So we have a clean code base now with this set of rules. Of course, you can configure your own biome.json, right? There's no uh, there's no limit to how much you can do. Of course, you can see formats are just like prettier, and then for JavaScript, you can specify that also. And then if you feel like, I think there was a day, something like, if I remove these and I'm using dangerously set HTML in my code base, it will throw an error. Okay, so yeah, just go to the documentation here and configure it to your own satisfaction. Right, let's continue. And then I've just I've done a quick run through of the whole folder structure. So let's talk about the components, uh, because I'm using Radix UI, and this utility function class variants, which helps us to merge class names, you know, and then do conditional rendering or conditional appending to the class name. So these are the components for notification. We have these are the variants. Then we have alert. We have alert title. These alerts are for error notification. I'm not using toast, so just decide to use this format, and then alert description, and then this is button component. I don't know. I don't pretty. I'm not a fan of Tailwind CSS, but in some cases like this, you just have to use them. I like to take full control of my own CSS. Uh, so I use Tailwind in my side project, and when there's a need to, in a case like this. So don't be surprised seeing all these class names, like, yeah, that's Tailwind for you. These are the variants, for built-in variants, default destructive outline, secondary rules link, the size, and the default as well. And then this is the component itself, and this is the TypeScript interface. Then for the card component as well, same thing. And this CN is actually a class name merger. It's coming from this utility file. As you can see, talked about this before. There are alternatives to this CLX package. Class names helps us to combine multiple class names, and then this Tailwind helps us to match them. This is from Tailwind CSS. So we've talked about card now, and then input. This is the input too. Of course, we only have one input box, which is where you get to enter your, the theme of the story you want, or maybe the topic or anything. Okay, and this is the components where our stories are being displayed. We have used it. It has a pagination function. So let's just run the app and see. Uh, yeah. Logos, 3,000. Yeah. So, and it's super responsive on mobile. Checking different screen sizes: iPhone SE, XR, 12 Pro, and so on and so forth. So, yeah, let's try to generate a story. You can see enter a team or character. let's try story of how Kenya gained independence. And then let's see. Yeah, so the estimated reading time is 2 minutes, and then the page one next.
In the heart of the African savanna, where acacia trees whispered secrets to the wind, nestled the vibrant land of Kenya. Once upon a time, Kenya was not a free nation but a colony, under the rule of a distant land.
Yeah, so the goal of this pagination is just to, imagine seeing all of these things at once. It might be too clumsy. That's why I had to break it down into pages, and then you can navigate, of course, this page two, and then
Among the many
read.
tribes that called Kenya home, a brave young warrior named Jomo Kenyatta emerged. He had a heart full of fire and a voice that resonated with wisdom. Kenyatta gathered the elders and warriors from across the land, uniting them under a common dream to regain their independence.
So you might be wondering, where exactly does AI comes in here? Of course, it is AI that is generating all of these things for us. Our own is just to enter a prompt, which is this, you know, the story of how Kenya gained an independence, and it will definitely generate it for us. And this is where the uh, Gemini prompt is, right? So yeah, this is a prompt, and there's an already written context here, which is generate an interactive African folklore story based on the theme or character, and this theme is exactly whatever we enter here. For instance, here we say the story of how, excuse me, Kenya gained her independence. So here the theme will now be the story of how Kenya. So we are saying, okay, hey, Gemini AI generate an interactive African folklore story based on the theme or character, the story of how Kenya gained an independence. And then the story should be educational, culturally accurate, and suitable for all ages, include traditional African elements, moral lessons, and vivid descriptions. Format the story in multiple paragraphs, with each paragraph representing a page you can see in the interactive story. So imagine interacting with ChatGPT, right? But here in a more refined, manner. This is to tell you that there is really no limit to how much this AI can do. You can literally clear this depending on whatever you want to do. This is actually the brain box of this app. I mean, this is where all of these stories are coming from. Okay, we import Google generative AI because it's a constructor. We create an instance of this constructor by passing in this our Google API key inside the constructor, right? And then here, right? So we call this function called generative model, because I think here you can specify. Okay, you can choose the model you want. For instance, here we're using Gemini Pro. I think there is another one called Model Auto. You can set it to auto as the case may be. And then, because there are many models in there, I think I'm going to talk about that. There's this link I included. You can fine tune the model to your own satisfaction if you are actually building something more advanced, right? So there's a way you can fine tune the model is on the Gemini AI documentation. But for now, we are going to be using this model, right? There are many models in Gemini AI depending on whatever you want to use it for, right? So, and then we create a prompt here, and then because it's an async function, we await the response from this model based on the prompt we pass into it, and then we get the response. We convert the response to text, and then we return the text. So where are we using this? We are using this inside API route. Where is it? Yeah. So this is our API route. This is our own mini backend server. You understand? This is the API, and then it's a post request. This request gets our request, which is the team. Okay, the team, whatever we enter here, and it's passing. Remember, this is this function, generate story, takes the team as a prop, and then it returns the response. And if there's an error, we get this error. Okay, let's try to, you know, let's try to remove our environment variable. So let's try to remove these and just enter a random stuff. Of course, I have to restart the server, just put this here, and then stop the server, start it again, just to see the error we get. We're using the wrong API key now, and I don't expect this app to function well. I expect it to throw error. Okay, so the story of how Kenya gained independence. You see, failed to generate story. Please try again. This error is coming from which line here? Yeah, it's coming from Gemini AI itself. Okay, that is because we are using a wrong API key. So let's put everything back to normal. Remove these, and then stop the server, and then start it again. Refresh the page. What's going on? Okay. Do not mind. Next.js can be somehow in development mode at times. That's one of the issues we are dealing with. Okay. What theme or character can we enter this time around? Let's say African interesting story. I don't know. In Nigeria, let's say the story of how Nigeria gained independence. Let's see. Oops. The story. We are about to restart. Of how Nigeria gained independence. Oops. Independence. Okay, let's see. Once upon a time,
in the bustling heart of Africa, there lay a land called Nigeria. It was a vibrant tapestry of diverse tribes, each with its unique customs and traditions. But for years, this land had been under the rule of a foreign power.
And you notice that as this JavaScript text to speech guy starts reading, you notice that some automatically all the texts are blurred out, but as it's reading them, they become embodying, right?
Once upon a time, in the bustling heart of Africa, there lay a land called Nigeria.
So this is actually a Tailwind class, one funny class name like that. Where is it? Where is it? Yes, yeah. So as if it is speaking, right, this color changing, this Tailwind classes can be funny at times. That's why I hate to see classes in my, but you just have to use this Tailwind for some quick projects like that. So
once upon a time, in the bustling heart of Africa, there lay a land called Nigeria. It was a vibrant tapestry of diverse tribes, each with its unique customs and traditions. But for years, this land had been under the rule of a foreign power.
Okay, next page 2.
As the sun rose each day, young Nigerians yearned for freedom. They whispered tales of a time when their ancestors roamed the land without hindrance. They dreamed of a day when they could govern themselves.
Next page.
One fateful day, a wise old man named Nambi gathered the brightest minds in the village. He shared stories of warrior kings and fearless queens who had led the fight against oppression. He inspired them to believe that they, too, could achieve independence.
So for me, I feel like this guy's voice is too bold for me. I need a female voice that will be tiny. It's something that if you're interested, you can explore. This is the text to speech API. It's a constructor as well, and so you can explore that, right? And is there anything I'm missing out? Yeah, this is the table config. Again, when you see all this, don't be dismayed. Yeah, don't be dismayed. This is the global CSS. And for, of course, we're using auto prefixer for bundling in production. And story display, story generator. This is a form. Yeah, this is a form. This is the input where we enter the theme of character. Of course, this is space holder. And this is the button. Uh, there's a state, there's a loading state, and there's the theme state, the story state, and this undo submit. Excuse me. And this is our API. Fetch API. We make a request, a post request to our server. This route that we created here. And of course, the other content type application slash JSON body stringify. And if there's an error, you throw the error, fail to generate story. And then if all goes well, we get a response in JSON. We have to convert to JSON because we're using Fetch API. And we set the story here. And if there's an error, you catch it. And then finally, we set the loading to false. So if the loading is true, when we click on the button, the loading is set to true. And then we clear the state, we set the error to null. And then that's why whenever we click on the button, the text changes from generate story to generating. And if all goes well, this story gets updated. Okay. So, and this is a story display. So we're saying, okay, if the story, because the story by default is empty, and JavaScript treats empty string as false and a real string as true. So definitely if this story is an empty string, this will be false. But if it's a real string, that is, if it gets updated here when we receive the response from the server, then this will be displayed. And that's why I see that by default, the story display is, is not here. But when we try to set something, say Swahili language, Swahili as a as a as an as a ge- as a popular language in Africa. I think Swahili is the most spoken language in Africa. Yeah, it's a popular language in Africa. Yeah, and then I click on generate story. This is making a request to the server. Yeah. So because all goes well, remember when we try to use a wrong API key, we got an error instead. But now that yeah, in the vibrant out of Africa where the Swahili language danced upon the winds. I mean, this story is long ago when the world was young. Blah, blah. Swahili emerged as a bridge. Of course, it's a good time to learn history and stories too. I love stories. Bridge between nations, traders from Arabia, India, and far away land sought to communicate with people of the East African coast. Swahili, a blend of Arabic and Bantu languages, became nice. So Swahili is a blend of Arabic and wow, interesting. So yeah, and what's going on in story display? So here in story display, don't forget that story is being passed as a prop here, and then when we get it, there's a use effect, okay, that splits this into different lines. You remember that it splits this will return an array, right? And then that's where we have multiple pages, as you can see here. Remember that the response we get here, it returns text. It returns text, and this is just going to be a pure text. And then here we are splitting them using a new line that converts them to an array, and then we update the pages. And then there's another use effect here for text to speech, such that each time we click on read aloud.
Long
Okay,
ago, when
this
the
is what
world was
gets
young, the
triggered.
storyteller began. Swahili emerged as a bridge between nations. Traders from Arabia, India, and faraway lands sought
I
to
can click on stop. So wait, question is speaking true or false? If it is speaking,
Long
like now
ago,
it's
when the
speaking, what happens when it is speaking? A lot of things happen. When it is speaking, we get all the text
Long
gets
ago, when the
blurred
world
out,
was
and the
young,
ones that have
the
been spoken
storyteller began.
get
Swahili emerged
emboldened,
as a bridge
right?
between
That's
nations.
one of the
Traders
things
from
that
Arabia,
happen.
India, and
Okay,
faraway
and
lands sought to
also
communicate
here,
with the people of the
this
East
is
African coast.
to stop when it's
Swahili,
speaking,
a
and
blend
when I
of
click on stop, it changes to read aloud. Where is that? Mm, yeah, stop read aloud. And what else? Then the function for next page and previous page, we can navigate page 3, and then also we can go back. Okay, and then this undo the text to speech. Okay, when I click on the button here, read aloud. Okay, as you can see, this is the button, and this is the previous button. This is the next button, and then this displays the current number of page and the total number of page, and then the estimated reading time. Yeah, I think I've touched every aspect of the code base. Do we have any question, observation? Hi, is anyone there? Hello? Hello? Hello, I'm done presenting. Any question? I've shared all the necessary links in these slides, and this slide is going to be available after the session. Yeah. Stop presenting. Anybody there? Hi.
Hi, John.
Who here? Yeah. Done presenting. If we have any questions.
Thank you for the presentation. I see we have Don. Let me start by Don. Hi, Don. Don. Okay, I don't think Don is able to speak. I had a question though from something that you had mentioned before. So when it comes to security measures, when it comes to the security measures that have been put in place to protect the AI generated content from unauthorized access for the story data.
Okay. Can you rephrase the question?
I was asking what are the security measures that have been put in place
to protect what? The code base or the story? I mean,
protect the data. Yeah, like you see,
the
with the
data.
API that you're using before, with the API that you're
Okay.
using before, So,
Okay.
like the content it generates, how do you protect the data from being manipulated by someone else?
Okay, so I think, yeah, this is a good question. So since this is like the brain box behind this, we can adopt the same technique we use for our API key here, which is in the environment variables, right? This is one of the security measures. Of course, you have to generate your API key, and then we're using environment variables because we don't want to expose it, right, for to the public. So we can actually use this prompt. We can convert it to an environment variables here, just that you're going to like insert. You can say next public Gemini prompt. Then,
You're not sharing your screen anymore.
oh
I can
wow,
hear you type, but
so sorry, so sorry about that. Let me share again. Can you see it now?
yes,
Okay. Can you see my VS Code?
yes, I can.
Okay. So I was saying that there's a reason why we have to create an environment variables, and you should know that this environment variables doesn't get pushed to GitHub. This is the repository, because by the way, right? And it doesn't get pushed. The only thing that gets pushed is the example here, because this is a confidential information and data, and we don't want to expose it to the public. So we can adopt the same strategy. Okay, can adopt the same strategy by creating another variable here. We call it next public Gemini prompt, and then we can uh, copy all of this stuff, right, and put it there. Okay, but there's going to be an issue, and the issue is how do we then, excuse me, how do we then pass this theme, which is a prop? Are you getting it now?
Yes, I do.
How do we then pass, this theme to this exact space? Of course, we can use JavaScript to check that. I don't know if I answered your question.
Yes, it has. And my last question was also in regards to like how do you handle traffic, especially when you're serving large scale like AI driven data or events
Okay,
during
so
campaigns or something like that.
okay, how do we handle traffic? The first way to handle traffic is number one, introducing catch. So it's actually in the Gemini documentation. Where is it? Where is it? Hold on. You, yeah. So the first thing is to introduce catch, right? What catch will do is that if I've searched something before, say if for instance, this now, I've searched this before and I try to search it again. Catch will just store it temporarily, right? It's like it's like a middleware between you and the server, such that something that has already been searched by you before, it doesn't get sent to the server again. I have it. We can set the expiry date. Are you getting my point? So now, if I've searched this thing before and I try to search it again, this thing will not go back to the server again. Catch will return it to you, and you see that by doing that, number one, we've minimized requests, and again, it depends on what you want to do. If you are building a really large scale enterprise and you want to use this as one of the features, another thing you can do is to you know do something like rate limiting. It depends on what you are building. If it's a like a subscription based web application, right, we can limit this number of requests a user can make. Hope you know that these uh, AI platforms, right? They have rate limiting for free users, for paid users. For free users, let's say for each chart, you can only make requests like 5 times. Are you getting my point?
Yes.
So for paid users, maybe they have Twitter also has it. Elon Musk once announced like that for free users, for users who are not subscribed, right? Who don't carry blue tick, they can only use number of tweets per day. I don't know if you're aware of that.
I heard about it. But I'm not sure the exact number of tweets you have per day. But I've
I
heard
think
about it. Yes.
yeah, I think 610, right? And again, it all depends on the hosting platform you're using. I think Cloudflare has introduced AI Worker that caters for all of these for traffic and all that. And again, there's really no limit to how much you can do. The most important thing is it depends on how much you are willing to spend to on these platforms, say on AWS platform and Cloudflare. But on the developer side, you introduce caching, you introduce rate limiting, and what else again? Yes, rate limiting it minimizes it helps us to checkmate the number of requests a user can make. Yeah. Have I answered your question?
Yes.
Do you have any other question? Any question for me?
Yes. But first, let me invite Toyosi to the stage if by any chance they have a question.
Okay.
Hi, Toyosi. Can you hear us? Toyosi? I doubt. Okay. My last question was just in relation to the languages. I remember at some point I saw you try to prompt in Kiswahili. Would you say that Gemini has the power to like use local dialects? Forget about the major languages such as Kiswahili, etc., but like the vernaculars from the smaller communities in Africa. Let's say, for example, in Kenya, how you have Luo, Kikuyu, and stuff like that. Or it's not yet that advanced.
Okay. Your question is that okay, if I got your question correctly, you're asking if Gemini can handle different languages.
Yeah, like the other languages that aren't that spoken. Okay, not really that spoken, but
Of course,
let's
yeah.
say, for example,
Of course. Of course.
okay,
Gemini has because it's on here, it has power to. Can you hear me? Hi, can you hear me?
yes, yes, I can.
So Gemini has the capability to translate into multiple languages, right? For instance, in this case, if we say, where is it? So for instance, here we can introduce a new feature and say, okay, I want this written in Swahili language. Let's try that.
You're
Let's
not
try
sharing your
that.
screen.
Sorry.
I was referring to languages like, let's say, okay, I'm not sure if Hausa is okay.
Hausa.
I'm trying to think of a language, let's say from Nigeria, that's not that commonly spoken, but I'm not sure.
Okay. Can you think of one? How much do you know about Nigeria?
That's the problem. I just discovered I don't know much. I just know
Okay, let me
Hausa,
help you.
Yoruba, but I guess those ones are there. Let me give an example like in Kenya, let's say Kimasai.
Can you type it
I'm not
in
sure if
chat?
that's
Masai. Can you type
um
it? Masai, okay. So again, you see, this prompt is actually the brain box. So let's say, okay, write with each paragraph representing a page. So format the story in multiple paragraph. Let's include in Masai language, right? Language is a language, right?
yes.
In Masai language, and let's see, let's see. Let me refresh. Yeah. Uh, can you think of any theme?
Let's just say the history of Kenya or the
History
history
of
of Nairobi.
Nairobi. History of Nairobi. History of Nairobi. I see. Okay. You know why we're getting this error? So, where is that? Yeah. So Gemini has a special provision for languages. Can
Mhm.
hello,
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
hello, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So Gemini has I'm trying to locate it in their documentation here. So I saw it yesterday. Yes, AI translation. Is it? Sorry, trying to get it. So the point is that you are going to configure it, configure it. Okay, come now. Generate text and Gemini API. Gemini API can generate text. Translation, translating between languages. Can you see it?
Yes.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Yes, it has that capability to translate between languages, but we are going to do an extra configuration. But I think it should work with this. Let's refresh, and and it should work. Okay, can you see?
Yes.
So
Emakona Yeparapa Thapa Theri
does it make sense? Does it make sense? To you? I don't understand. You know,
Emakona Yeparapa
I don't know the language, but it sounds like it.
Akamolkul Napa neighbor.
oh, is it correct?
I don't know. I don't know the language. That's why you can try to the random language.
Okay, okay, let's do something. Let me just copy it and let's use Google Translation. We'll see now. We'll see now. Okay, enter the text here. Masai, Masai, where are you? I can't see it in the because automatically Google should detect the language.
I don't think it's already there yet, but maybe you can try Luo. I see that's there. At least that I understand.
We can try what?
Luo.
Hold on, let's try this first.
It's not there.
Hmm. Masai.
It's not there.
Okay, let me see what you're talking about. Luo.com, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No. Like if you can change the prompt from Masai to Luo at
Okay,
the
Luo.
translator part, because at least that I've seen is
Okay,
there. Yeah.
Luo. Okay. First page. Excuse me. First page, yeah, okay. History of Kenya. Let's see now. Okay. Does it make sense? This? Is she there?
It's Mirimoko Omoro Ochawa. Well, I know that's
Miri
that language. I just
Odonj John.
Sorry?
no, I know that's the language. Yes, I just don't know what it is. Like I don't know what it's saying. Let's just try
Even
and
you don't
translate and
understand
see.
the language.
Miri Moko Amoro Ochoa. Odonj Jomo Kenyatta. Aul Joji I Kenya. Jomo ni Apollo Wuad Kenya African National Union Kanua Godala Kenya Lukwit Machi May. Odoni Jomo Otia Juma Okeo.
But yeah, you can.
Eleanor.
So
Okay.
absolutely, you can configure the prompt to your. You just have to command it, and that's what the prompt is all about. And yeah. So, any other question, suggestion?
No,
Uh,
I think the last translation answered my last question,
the last what?
and I no, I'm saying the last translation you did answered my last question.
Okay.
Like I've been
So
proved
the
wrong.
repository, yeah, the repository is public here. Yeah. Oh, sorry. It's public here, and anybody can just go there. And the live URL is also there. You can clone it, fork it, and tweak it, add more features, and yeah.
You
Thanks.
can send it to the chat. You can send it to me, and then I send it to the chat for others that will
Oh,
be reviewing the session later on.
right. Yeah. Sent it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for hosting me. Any other thing?
No, I guess on my end, it's just to thank you so much, John, for sharing your insights with us today. I would say your expertise on Gemini has been of incredible value, and we appreciate your time, the time that you've taken to engage with us. On behalf of everyone here, we'd like to extend our sincere gratitude for such an informative session. And we look forward to having you next time.
Thank you very much. By the way, there is an error in the tweet you made. That's my username. I think there was a mistake. It's supposed to be John Pels, but there's an additional SECH. Maybe you can correct that later. But yeah,
Okay, I will.
thanks. Yes, thanks for hosting me.
Likewise.
I'm very much
Have
grateful.
a good evening.
Yeah. Is anybody talking?
No, I was just ending the stream.